What's going on, y'all? Welcome to episode 34 of the Fight Night Forecast, where we highlight, recap, and cover all things boxing. Thank you for tuning in. Beautiful Sunday, you know what I mean? Praise God, it'll be another beautiful day. It's New Year's Eve. Hopefully y'all are all working on your goals, getting ready for the year to come. I know I am. Sitting down, reflecting on a great year, but looking forward to what's coming up next year in 2024. So, and only big things coming with the Fight Night Forecast, baby. You know what I mean? So, we out here, man. You know, we're in the studio. It don't matter if it's holidays, birthdays. You know what I mean? Whatever, your boys out here putting in that work for y'all to bring y'all the best boxing content out here. So, you know what I mean? Your boys Sunday too. Your boys repping them Kansas City Chiefs. Repping my Chiefs. I know we're going through a little bit of a rough patch right now, but you know, we're still Super Bowl bound. So, and I'm gonna stand on it until we possibly get eliminated. We are Super Bowl bound. Nonetheless, let's get into boxing, man. I have a huge episode for you guys. I went a little MIA last week. Had a lot going on. Had a lot of work to do. You know, a lot of prep to do for the new year, whatnot. So I did not hit y'all with an episode this week, but here we are on Sunday. Sunday's still the week. I guess technically, you know, could be the start of the new week. Let me make sure I got the chat going here. I got a few people in here. Let's see. Chat view is open. Hit the chats, man. Hit the chats. Ask me some questions. Talk to me. Make fun of me. Do whatever you got to do. Thank y'all for joining in, though. But let's hit it, man. Let's talk about, I guess I would say the past weekend of boxing, but it's actually more like the past week and a half of boxing that we're about to cover real quick. We had that Day of Reckoning card. That was on Christmas Eve, December 23rd. Man, I had the day off. I was watching boxing from 11 a.m. to, man, I think that card ended at like 7 p.m. my time. So, man, your boy was chilling. I was watching boxing all day. It was a great day. So yeah, December 23rd, we had it all kicked off with Frank Sanchez. He TKO'd Junior Fa. He kind of had a slow start a little bit there in the beginning, but, you know, really ramped it up. And I believe I'm going to say it was round 7. Yeah, round 7 TKO. I think they gave Fa, I think the first couple, like 2-3 rounds or something like that, because Sanchez was really slow to warm up. But once he came out the gates, it was a wrap. You know, so went in there, TK'd him. I hope, man, I really do want to see bigger things for Frank Sanchez coming down the line. You know, I want to see some bigger fights for him, you know, and I think that, you know, I think I said it last week in the last podcast, you know, I think it's just really, he's a perfect example of someone who's just been mismanaged. You know, he's a great talent, and I do believe, you know, he's got some big fights in him, and I think that he just needs to showcase that, you know. So I wouldn't mind seeing him. I don't want to see him in there against a top heavyweight maybe just yet, just because, you know, I think he has a talent, but I just don't think he's got quite the resume behind him yet, you know, and I'm afraid it might turn into one of those moment too big for the fighter kind of thing, you know what I mean? So I don't know, let's see him in there with there's plenty of heavyweights that we could see him in there with, you know, up and coming guys. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing maybe an F.A. Ajagba, or maybe you know, he's kind of on a little bit of a rebound right now. You know, Jared Anderson, if they want to put a prospect versus prospect. I'm trying to think. Some other good. I'm covering here in a minute, but Makhmudov just came off a loss. Maybe that's something. Nah, I don't want to see that, because then that's too big of a fight for Makhmudov. He's got to take a few steps back. So that's not necessarily the best one. But listen, nonetheless, there's plenty of good fights out there for Frank Sanchez. Hit the comments below if you know, maybe got an idea on who you might want to fight. But yeah, nonetheless, it's moving on. We have Ergovich. He TKO'd Mark Demori. That was in the first round, and that put him in the talks of fighting Anthony Joshua now. So talk about one punch changing your life, man. That dude, man, he's now in the talks to fight with one of the biggest heavyweight superstars in the league. But yeah, so I'm here for it. You know, I think Hrgovic came out looking good. You know, we didn't get to see a lot of him. Obviously, it was a first round KO, but I mean, that's a statement there on its own. You know what I mean? Let's see here. We got a comment. Not much of an upset in my eyes. Parker is a decent boxer at a high level, and Wilder has a limited toolkit at that level. That was James. Yes, I agree, bro. And I'm about to get into that here in just a minute as I'm working my way down the card. I agree, and I said it last week in the pod. I said that was definitely the hardest fight for me to call out of the whole card. You know, there was a stacked card. I was like, man, I really don't know who takes that, and that was for good reason. I mean, Parker is by no means a slouch. You know what I mean? So we'll get more into that in just a minute. So yeah, Ergovic, yeah, he beat Mark Demori, and then what we were just talking about a minute ago, Arslanbek Makhmudov, he oh yeah, you're right, James, you're right. I'm tweaking. Thank you for pointing. Yeah, he already fought FA. That was actually FA's first loss. Dang, you're right on that. I'm tweaking. So let me think. So he fought FA. I don't know who do you want to see him fight? I mean, I would like to see. I wouldn't mind seeing Anderson. I wouldn't mind seeing, honestly, any of these guys. I mean, maybe Daniel Dubois. You know, Daniel Dubois wouldn't be too bad. Maybe that dude that just beat Makhmudov. I'm talking about right now, that Ajit Kabayel. Maybe that's a move up for him. He just had a big fight beating Makhmudov. You know, he showcased a lot of good boxing skill. You know, he kind of showed the weakness of Makhmudov a little bit. Yeah, I agree. Top 10. Yeah, I think he's got to fight a top 10. I want to see Frank Sanchez up there, bro. I want to see him contending for a title soon. You know, I really do. And I think that's not outrageous for me to say. You know, I do believe that he could give the top 10 any amount of problems. And I'm gonna switch this up real quick. I'm gonna move. Give me 1 second, because now my chat feed. Here we go. Hold up. Now my chat feed is popping up where my logo is. So now let me get the. Oh, there we go. Now the chat feed was coming up right over where the logo's at. All right, now we're rocking. Now we're cooking with some peanut oil, baby. Now we're rocking. All right. So, but yeah, I want to see Frank Sanchez fight a top 10. I want to see him up there. I want to see him fighting big name talent. I think he's worth the watch. You know. So, but yeah, Caballero, he TKO'd Makhmudov. He cracked the code. Makhmudov kind of looked a little flat-footed. He looked a little, I don't know. He didn't look like the dominant fighter we thought. And you know, everyone says, you know, hey, you know, a fighter's unbeatable till they get beat. You know what I mean? And I think that the same thing happened with Ajagba when he lost to Sanchez. Thank you for pointing that goof out for me. But yeah, same thing there. Everyone thought FA was the next big thing till he lost. You know, so just one of those things. I think Makhmudov is not a scary prospect in the heavyweight division? No, I do think that dude's still a dog, and I think he's gonna bounce back and do great things. But I just think that he's gonna have to take a step back, maybe take a few more tune-up fights. I think maybe the moment was a little big for him. You know what I mean? That happens more often than not. I think this is one of those things where he's gonna have to take a step, just maybe a step or two back, fight a few fights, you know, get his wits about him again, and go from there, and go back to the lab and work. You know, you could tell that the body shots obviously were a huge problem. He did not take body shots well at all, you know, and he had problems with being flat-footed, not moving around the ring well enough. So I think that it's just back to the lab for him. He's a young fighter. He's going to come back strong, I believe. I think this might be one of the best things that happened to him, maybe taking this loss. You know, it'll maybe get the spotlight off of him a little bit, give him a chance to redevelop as a fighter and come back better, you know, just hammer out a few small things. So, but yeah, and Caballero, let's see some bigger fights from him, man. I thought he looked good. I never heard of him. I mean, I'm not going to front with you guys. I never heard of him really until this fight. Watched a little bit of it on the lead up, but yeah, he just made a name for himself for sure, you know, for sure. Then right after that, we had Daniel Dubois. He defeated Jarrell Miller, and that was a TKO in round 10. And, you know, if you guys knew anything about this on the lead up, you know, Miller was almost 100 pounds heavier than Dubois. and I don't care what you say, and no matter what kind of skill level you are, if you find somebody that's 100 pounds heavier than you, that is a lot to take on. I've sparred with dudes that were like 40 to 50 pounds heavier than me, and you can just tell, even when they're not aiming to take your head off, them shots, that they even go 50% on is a lot. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things, man, where, there's weight divisions for a reason. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm for that super cruiserweight being put in by, I think it was I talked about it a couple weeks ago on the WBC and the WBA, excuse me. They both implemented the super cruiserweight or whatever, where it's, I think it's 201 to 225 or something like that. So that's all I'm for it, and every other weight division, you got the weight max limit. Anymore, people are putting rehydration clauses on people and whatnot, but and yeah, so I don't know. We'll see, how far the super cruiserweight goes. I think it's a great idea, but it's just tough when it's like you got a dude like Deontay Wilder, you got dudes like Usyk, you got there's plenty of probably cruiserweights that could fight it at heavyweight also, but they're like, man, I can get in there with a Tyson Fury who's almost 300 pounds, a Francis Ngannou, a Makhmudov 260, or all of these guys, Jarrell Miller, over 330 something pounder. You know what I mean? It's just there's no cap on it. So I think that we're missing a whole weight class of fighters, with adding in this super cruiserweight. And I think we should add in the 185 too. I think there's put in some kind of bridger weight or something, because I think we're missing another whole category of fighters between 175 and 200. Throw in that 185. UFC's already got it. It's just one of those things where I think you would bring a lot more athletes to the sport that maybe can't cut down to 75 but can't fight at 200. So I don't know. Moving on though, we had this is what I dubbed to be the best fight last week. I don't want to say it was a bad fight, but it turned into be kind of a very one-sided fight, at least to say. Bivol fought Lyndon Arthur. Lyndon Arthur's a tough fighter out of the UK. I really thought it was going to be a better bout than what actually happened. But, I'm not mad. I like Bivol. Bivol's one of my favorite fighters to watch, and just off of pure skill alone and just the fundamentals, man. He's just one of those dudes where it's like, maybe it's not always the prettiest, maybe not the flashiest, but dude always gets the job done, and does it in a beautiful boxing fashion. As in, it's just nice to see when boxing is put into art form and done in a certain manner, where it's enjoyable for people to watch, when it's not just a knockout, or not just somebody doing something crazy, flashy, heavy hands or whatever. But yeah, nonetheless, he retained his WBA light heavyweight title. He pitched a shutout. I don't think Arthur even won a round. I think it was unanimous decision all the way. I think, literally all 12 rounds went to Bivol. So yeah, I now, at the end, I think he said he just wants the winner of Smith Beterbiev, and I'm happy for it. I'm here for it. I want to see it. I think I'm happy with either guy winning. I think Callum Smith would be a tough fight at 175, and I mean Beterbiev obviously is the one that will sell more pay-per-views and the one that everyone really wants to see. But at this point, Beterbiev is aging just a little bit. He's looking a little more human in his past couple fights. Maybe not past couple, because he destroyed was it Anthony Yarde or whatever. But his last fight, he looked a little more human. So that's what we see as fighters age a little bit. He might not be as big of the boogeyman as once thought he was, but I still think that's one of the best fights we could see in 2024. That could literally be fight of the year in 2024. I want to see it. Both guys are still competing at a high level despite age. You know, I'm here for it. I want to see it. Am I mad though if there's some kind of upset in January? I think it's the 13th or something like that when him and Callum Smith fight. I'm not mad if there's an upset. There happens to be some kind of upset. Beterbiev loses. Yeah, we miss out on that great pay-per-view seller, but I still think Callum Smith is a tough fight, and I'm looking forward to seeing that fight on the 13th. I think it's in Toronto or something, or Ontario, Canada, something like that. So that's going to be a good fight too, and I'm looking forward to that in a couple weeks. And I'll do a little bit of a little breakdown on that too when the time comes. But yeah, so I think it's going to be either fight's good, and I'm glad that we will hopefully see Undisputed at 175, and we'll get one of those three guys the crown that's much well deserved. So, but yeah, I thought the Bivol Arthur fight was a good lead up to the co-main and the main. Let's get into it. Arguably one of the upsets of the year. Joseph Parker defeated Wilder. I don't want to call it a gigantic upset because I literally said it last week that Parker is no slouch. He's really only lost to top heavyweights, and Wilder is coming off of a long layoff. His last fight lasted about 25 seconds. So literally in the past year and a half, almost 2 years, he's fought 30 seconds. He's coming off, there was some kind of injury he had. Hit in the chat if you know what it is, but he had some kind of injury that he was it? I think it might have been a hand injury or something. He was nursing some kind of hand injury. So he said that in the post-fight press conference, he was like, I could have really used a couple more months probably to heal that up a little more. But he just had, I'm not saying he's making excuses, which we all know he's done that in the past, but he really isn't making a lot of excuses, but for this fight at least. But he's I think the cards were stacked against him a little bit. What was it? I think Parker's fought 3 times this year or something crazy. That was his 3rd fight he had, maybe even 4th. I can't remember, but he's been active. He looks good. I thought he came in phenomenal shape, because he's getting a little older too, but I thought he looked great, and he came in and he literally just did what he had to do. He either stayed on the outside. He had one job. Well, 2 jobs actually. He had to miss the right hand, and he had to stay out of mid-range. And he did both those. Phenomenal. He literally was either on the outside or he smothered. And when he was smothered on the inside, he was letting them hands go. And that's exactly what he had to do. He literally had the game plan to beat Deontay Wilder. Because if we hang around in that mid-range area with Deontay Wilder, you're going to get cracked. And if you don't have a chin, you're going to sleep. So he literally did it. He did it perfectly well. And he got them licks off on the inside. And from the outside, he worked his jab, and I thought he had a phenomenal game plan. And he did it up. So, yeah. Do we want to see Parker Joshua rematch? I don't know. Do I think it's warranted? Maybe, but I know a lot of people. I don't think that'd be a big fan favorite to see Joshua fight Parker again, especially how the last fight went. But do we see Joshua and Wilder? Joshua called for Wilder to still maybe fight. I don't know. We'll see. Especially after what Joshua did to Wallin. The main event of the Day of Reckoning, man. He broke his nose. The corner ended up calling it after the 5th round. It was a lopsided, all 5 rounds lopsided. Wallin had a few good shots in there, but Joshua looked like a different beast, man, than he has the past few fights, with Usyk and all of them. So I hope Joshua's on the slide back, man. Joshua's one of the guys, man, that really, got me back interested into boxing again. A lot of y'all know, I watched a lot as a kid and stuff with my pops and everything, but, for a good part of the early 2000s, I wasn't watching a lot of boxing, and kind of came back around, and Joshua was one of those people that really brought me back to it, So I really hope the best for him, man. I want to see a big fight. A lot of people are saying that he could fight that Hrgovic guy or whatever. He's got an opportunity to fight Wilder if he wants to, even though I don't think it would sell as much now that if Wilder would have beat Parker, or he could rematch Parker, or hold off and wait, I guess, to see who wins out of Usyk and Fury. But I don't know. I think if Usyk becomes undisputed, I don't think I want to see that fight again, if we're going to be real. I think that Joshua's best bet is Fury beats Usyk, and then we get to maybe see that fight. I don't know. But Joshua said in the post-fight interview that his plan is to fight at least another 3 or 4 times, in 2024. So I love it. I think you got to stay active. I think we just learned in the Wilder Parker fight that inactivity versus activity is a game changer. You know what I mean? So I really do think that if Joshua stays, on this grind and he keeps developing his game, he's working with Derek James. I think that's been one of the best moves in his career. He's been looking good since he's been with him. And who knows? I think we could see him in an undisputed bout maybe late 2024. We'll see. We'll see what the plans are. But if he keeps trending up and head in that direction, we might see it. So, nonetheless, I thought that was a dope card. The Day of Reckoning, I thought it was cool. I said it last week. I liked the theatrics behind it. I liked the idea of like the Day of Reckoning instead of just it being like Joshua versus Wallin. You know what I mean? It was just cool to see that they're like almost trying to kind of involve more people in it by making it seem a little more cinematic a little bit. You know what I mean? Making that little movie out of it. They did the little, all the lead up to it. I thought it was cool, man. So maybe it'll get a few more eyes on the sport. You never know. Get some more like, I don't want to say casuals. You know what I mean? I hate to be like, get all the casuals involved. But, I think it's cool like to get people maybe that don't always watch the sport involved in some of these, bigger things. Because, the more the sport grows, the better for all of us, that love boxing. We can hate on them and call them casuals and say, man, I'm sick of these casuals not knowing what they're talking about. But, man, like, you got to have casuals to have people that are... You got to have casuals to have experts. You know what I mean? Otherwise, what's the point? You know what I mean? You can't have yang without yang. You know what I mean? So, nonetheless, let's move into the next segment of our past week and a half, almost 2 weeks of boxing. December 26th, the day after Christmas. Actually, it was like 3 a.m. So it was pretty much on Christmas Day for most of us. But yeah, so December 26th, Naoya Inoue defeated Marlon Tapales to become undisputed at his second weight division in 13 months. Dude is a dog. And we'll get in. I know y'all have seen my catchy hook that I put as the thumbnail up there and the title of the episode, and we're getting to it. Just give me 1 second. Let me get through the rest. But it was a very one-sided fight. Inoue landed 3 times the amount of punches, according to CompuBox. He landed 146 to 52 on Marlon Tapales. And Tapales is no slouch. Very, very good fighter of that division. And, Inoue pretty well made pretty easy work of him, So, let me check the chat here. My bad, it's been a minute since I looked. Bivol was very skilled, looked impressive as usual. Unfortunately, Team Bivol of the boxing business has been icing an aging better Biev. I agree, bro. I agree. And that makes you kind of wonder, man, why we didn't see this fight a little earlier. You know what I mean? And James followed up and said, I hope we get it soon. I think we do. I really do think we get it in 2024, So I really do believe we see that undisputed at 175 in 2024. But yeah, so, and then with Inoue, as I said, he landed 3 times the punches, 146 to 52. And then he also landed 43% of his power punches, which is insane. That's literally almost half of his punches landed, power punches rather, which that's nuts. Listen, if you're in a fight, it may not sound like a lot. You might be like, oh man, 50%. That's half as fun. If you're in a fight, bro, and bro hits you with one out of every other punch that he throws, you are getting pieced up. You are getting pieced up, bro. The average boxing bout, what is it, like 15 to 30% of power punches landed? Is that's like average. You know, if bro's piecing you up, literally, if he throws a cross and a hook and he's hitting you with one of them on a regular basis, you're getting smoked. So it was a very one-sided fight. Inoue made it look like easy work. Man, I don't know. I don't think Inoue's stopping. I don't think he's gonna stop at that weight division. I think he's gonna go to the next one. You know, so dudes out here just collecting these accolades like infinity stones. And I don't think I don't see him hitting the brakes anytime soon. I see all gas, you know. So we're gonna get into the debate here in just a second. But there was one last fight that just happened the other day. It was Brick City Fight Night in New Jersey. And my boy Vito Melnicki Jr. I don't know if he was the headliner or co-main or what he was, but nonetheless, he was pretty much the biggest name on the card. He got a first round knockout, and shout out. I'm a big fan of Vito. You know, me and him go back and forth a lot on Instagram. I want to get him on here for a interview. So Vito, if you happen to see this clip or whatever, come on, man, hit your boy up. I want to get you on here and get you interviewed, my man. So, but yeah, he had a good win. He's only gonna do more and more things at the 154 pound division, you know. And you know, I don't know. We'll see. There's another podcast that I follow, A-Side Boxing Talk. Shout out A-Side. He just had recently an interview with Vito. So if you do want to go see him, go check him out. He's got him on there. Let's see. His fundamentals are so good, so damn good. Always in perfect position. His pull on the southpaw lead hook and counter straight right was amazing. Dude, he is a spectacle. I assume you're talking about Inoue. He is a spectacle to watch, an absolute spectacle to watch. And I think, and we'll get into it in a minute, I think he's just overlooked, man, because he's not mainstream over here in the United States. And I think that, man, he is just, it's like everything he does is just perfect placement. And I've seen some of his training videos where he literally just spends hours just working movement with his feet, just where, like, it's not even like the typical foot movement that we imagine, right? Where we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna work on these pivots, we're gonna work on stepping and punching, whatever. Dude's just stepping for hours. Like, he's just stepping. I mean, it's insane. Like, that's the kind of stuff that we need to see more of in our training. You know what I mean? And he puts the work in, and it shows on fight night. You know, it really does. And I mean, every punch he lands seems like it's just like ridiculously precise, and dude's a beast. You know what I mean? He just really is. It is. And that's why we're about to get into this argument right now. I do believe, and I might catch some hate for this, I do believe that Naoya Inoue is our pound for pound number one fighter in the world. So, people are gonna hate on me a bit for it. People are gonna be like, nah, man, Crawford's my boy. And I'm not dissing Crawford by any means. I'm gonna put this, wish I can put a large disclaimer here. Not dissing Terrence Crawford by any means, because he's a phenomenal fighter, and he had literally one of the biggest bouts of the year in defeating Errol Spence, and that was it was great. It was great. So, but you cannot argue with a 2-weight division undisputed in 13 months. That's insane. And I actually have a graphic here too. I'm gonna pop it up. Oh yeah, James said Ed's fuming right now. If you guys remember, we had Ed on. What was that? It had been back in. We were covering something. It was in the summer. We were covering a fight that he wanted to. Oh, it was Crawford Spence. He came on for Crawford Spence. So that was back in July. we had that on. So yeah, he is. You know he's fuming. He's punching the air right now. He's definitely punching the air. Let's see. I got a graphic here for you guys that just showed a very insane side by side of all the accolades for Bud and Inoue. I'm gonna read these out for you here because it's just, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it really is. All right. So since their first title fight, let me move this here real quick. All right, here we go. We'll put it on my face. Nobody wants to see that anyway. All right. Get that back there. Perfect. All right. So since their first title bout back in 2014, listen out, Bud. Here's Bud. Bud's the first one. 3-division world champ, 2-division undisputed, 18-0 with an 83% knockout rate in title fights, 10-0, 70% KO rate versus champions at those weight divisions. And then he went up 12 pounds, which is 9% of his starting body weight when he started boxing professionally. Incredible, right? Incredible. And so you think, man, how can that be topped? Listen to this. Inoue, 4-division world champion, 2-division undisputed in 13 months. I wish he would have put that in the parentheses. In 13 months, he's 21-0 with a 90% KO ratio in title fights, 13-0 with an 85% KO ratio versus champions in those weight divisions. And he went up 14 pounds, which is 13% of his starting body weight. Come on, man. Come on, man. There's just, I mean, that's incredible. You know, and for you to say, and I'm not dissing him. I'm not dissing Terrence Crawford, but when you look at the difference there, it's not like, it doesn't seem like a lot, right? You're like, oh, it's just a little bit. But those accolades, I mean, are this, I mean, it's a country mile, bro. I mean, it's like, that's wild, man. You know, like I said, both guys are good fighters. I really do. I think it comes down to just Terrence Crawford is more mainstream in the U.S. and he gets a lot more media time and has a lot more eyes on him. I think Inoue is like almost like this dark monster, man, that and his nickname is literally the Monster. I think he's just this monster in the dark, man, that nobody really knows about, you know, especially stateside. I guarantee if I go to most boxing fans, bro, and I say the name Naoya Inoue, I bet there's some people that wouldn't even know who I was talking about, you know. And I think the fact that he's hit the pound for pound list now a little bit, I think, you know, that maybe brought him a little more mainstream. But I guarantee if I went 3 years ago, and asked about if you knew who Naoya Inoue was, I bet 90% of boxing fans wouldn't even know who he was. And I think that's because he doesn't ever really fight in the United States, which sucks. He, you know, since he fights in Japan mostly or overseas, most of his fights are in the middle of the night. Like this one on the 26th was at 3 a.m. I wish I would have stayed up to watch it because it would have been, you know, it was witnessing history live. But I think Showbiz did a whole, I think Showbiz did his whole spiel. Like he did the whole live commentary through like 5 a.m. or something crazy like that. You know, one day, you know what I mean? Your boy will be there too. I'll be, you know what I mean, doing it, but I had to go to sleep. But yeah, so man, I mean, I think it's just incredible. I think it's really just incredible. And I think really the main difference between him and Crawford, it just comes down to just not having all that media coverage. You know, I think if more people knew about him, people would be less apt to argue with me in the comments, you know? So, and I mean, I hope a few people do challenge me maybe a little bit. I love it when people call me out. Perfect example. I was wrong on the F.A. Ajagba Frank Sanchez thing. But it's hard, man. Your boy, I got a lot going on. Sometimes I forget. But I'm glad, man. I love it when people call me out on that. I need to be called out, you know? I love when people, you know, give me their hot takes. I get a lot of hot takes on the YouTube shorts. If you guys aren't watching my YouTube shorts, go check them out. A lot of people get on there. I like to kind of post controversial stuff because I know it's going to, you know, it gets a lot of eyes. And, you know, getting all the people on there is dope. What's going on? It's my boy Enjoy Life. He's on here. He said Inoue versus Crawford, the only way to settle it. Man, hey, let's put them head to head. Let's see, man. Let's see. And listen, the way Inoue is climbing these ranks, I wouldn't even be surprised if we don't see, well, let's see Crawford, Inoue. I mean, let's see. By the time it's probably done, I bet Crawford will probably be 45, and he'll probably have to fight at 175. And Inoue, Inoue will probably find a way to come up there and fight at 175. Let's see Crawford, Inoue at 175. That's what I want to see. In 2029. That's what I want to see. Hot take alert. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, how do we? James said, just like Haney and Fury. I know, that's what I'm saying, man. I can see Haney get the way Haney was looking at the day of redemption, or whatever it was called, the day of reckoning. Haney looked like a freaking 75er, bro. I mean, he looked like, holy cow. Haney looked swole, bro. Pause. But you know what I mean? It's just like one of them things, man, where I'm like, yo, Haney looked huge. And it makes sense. He had to been every bit 165, 168, something like that on fight day when he fought Regis. Just I didn't believe it when I saw the numbers, but I definitely believe it now. So, but yeah, man, crazy. Let's I don't know. I mean, besides seeing him head to head, I don't really know how else to compare him besides just that breakdown I just had a minute ago, man. I mean, it's both guys' numbers are incredible. They're both Hall of Famers. I think we could end up seeing, Inoue, maybe fighting somebody like Shakur or fighting somebody like Tank in the next year or two, just for a big fight. If he's going to keep climbing up. Well, mistake me. I might be mistaken. So his next, if he decides to move up, his next weight class would be what? 126? He'd go to 120. He'd have to go to 126, then 130, right? I know one of you two would know. I want to say it's 126 would be his next division, and then 120 or then 130 would be next. So if he ends up making it up to 35, or if he feels like he can make that, I don't know. He's not like a super. So it'd be featherweight next. So, but we could see him versus like Joe Cordina. That would be like Inoue versus Joe Cordina. That would be a dog fight, bro. Man, like I think that'd be good, bro. I don't know what y'all think, man, but yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what's next for Inoue. I really do think he's just gonna keep collecting these Infinity Stones, man. Keep collecting these belts and these accolades, man. So, all right, we're running up on about 40 minutes. I did want to get to this before I cut us off and ended up, man. I got to work tonight, man. New Year's Eve, but yeah. So I want to do a 2023 recap. Obviously, yes. Thank you. Yeah, Loma at 130. I like that. I like Loma. I think Loma at 130 would be great. If Loma could get down to 130, I know he's mentioned as he's aged a little bit, it's tougher for him to get down there. Yeah, I think if Loma could still make 130 with no issues, I'd love to see that, man. I'd really love to see that. I'd like to see, and they've been kind of back and forth about it. I'd like to see Loma and Shakur at 35, possibly. Let's see how it is. But I want to do a 2023 recap. I'm not gonna. I thought about doing like a Fight Night forecast recap of like all the things we've done this year, but I think that'd be a little more appropriate to do like once we hit episode 52, and do the year in review then. So I'm not gonna like do like a Fight Night forecast year in review. Maybe I'll throw out something like a little short or something like a year in review kind of thing. But I didn't really want to make it about that. I just wanted to make it about just like this year in review about boxing. All the big fights we saw. From all the big fights, man. From David Benavidez and Caleb Plant, who really kicked it off, to Ryan and Tank. And then we had Haney Loma, and then Haney Prograis again. We had Canelo Charlo. We had so many big fights. I guess from Benavidez and Plant all the way up to the Day of Reckoning. And being the last, pretty much the last big card of the year. We had such a great year of boxing, and how could I forget? One of the biggest ones. Crawford Spence. We've been waiting for that for years. So it's just, man, we had so many good fights this year, and it was such a fun time covering it all with you guys. I'm not trying to get sentimental, but it was a good time, man. I really enjoyed it. I feel like I couldn't have picked a better year to kick this off. And James is even in the chat right now. I'm sure James feels the same way, and I appreciate James for being with me the episodes that he was. And it ain't over yet, James. We're gonna get you on for a few guest episodes coming up. I just gotta learn how to work this live thing, man. So but yeah, man. So looking forward to a big year in 2024 as well. But yeah, I just wanted to go over just a few. I was on ESPN earlier, that was a couple days ago, but it was just going over the 2023 recap, and there's a lot of them on there if you want to go to the ESPN boxing tab. That it'll tell you like pretty much everything that happened this year. But there's just a few things I wanted to zoom in on. The first one's the men's fighter of the year, and it went to Naoya Inoue, obviously. 2-division world champion in 13 months is incredible. And obviously we just went through all of his accolades along with Bud's. So the runner-up was Crawford, and the honorable mention right after that was Devin Haney. So yeah, I think all three of those guys had an incredible year. They all look good. I think kind of what disqualified Crawford is the fact that he only fought really once this year. Haney fought twice, Inoue fought twice. So, it's just I think Crawford's obviously still in the running just because of the opponent that he fought. How big of a caliber of opponent he fought. That's really what kept him up there. But nonetheless, I think Inoue deserved it. I think they got that one right. There's a couple of them maybe we could argue, but they got that one right. Men's fight of the year, and this is one that I don't fully agree with, but it was still, all three of these fights I'm about to tell you guys is a banger. Men's fight of the year, Jaime Munguia versus Sergey Deverenchenko. Now, if you guys do remember, that was a banger. I believe it went to unanimous decision, or no, not a split decision, or it went to decision. I want to say it's a split or majority decision though, one of the two. But yeah, that was a banger of a fight. Runner up, who I was just talking about a minute ago, Joe Cordina versus Rakhimov. That was a banger too. Joe Cordina, I don't know if that was I can't remember if that was his title, that was his title defense, or if that was when he won the title. Nonetheless, that was a really good fight. And then this is the one that I thought would have been fight of the year, but came up as the honorable mention runner-up, Haney versus Loma. I think that was, personally, in my eyes, fight of the year. I wanted to see that fight. I was so excited for that fight. It was very, very controversial in the fact that I think it was literally split in half. Some people thought Loma won. Some people thought Haney won. And it literally, I guarantee if you ask every other person, they would have gave you one or the other. I feel like it wasn't, most people thought Haney won, or whatever. It literally was down the middle. But yeah, so that's what I thought fight of the year was. But I'm not ESPN, so I can't make all these calls. So KO of the year, they had Junto Nakatani and Andrew Maloney. That was that vicious 12th round knockout of Andrew Maloney. I can't remember, that was on, that might have been on the Haney Loma card if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so that was the vicious knockout. They didn't have any runners up for it. I was looking to see who the runners up were, or if there was any runners up, but that's who they picked. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any other knockouts of the year that you guys think could have been a better one. I thought, maybe not knockout of the year, but Jayo Pataya knocking out a dude on that Day of Reckoning card. That was an insane knockout. We just saw a couple weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, or whatever. So KO of the year, yep, Nakatani versus Maloney, round 12 knockout. The woman fighter of the year, it's pretty obvious. Even though the runner-up, is still very good. Katie Taylor won. You know, she had her 2 big bouts this year with Chantel Cameron for undisputed. And yeah, I mean, there's really not. I guess you could maybe, you know, the runner-up was Serrano. You know, I think maybe you could say Baumgardner up there a little bit. You know, I'm a big fan of all 3 of these girls. I think they all kill it, and they do great things in the realm of women's sports and women boxing in general. You know, Clarissa Shields didn't fight this much that much this year, so it kind of gave opportunity for there to be somebody else that filled the shoes. You know, I think all 3 of these ladies did a really good job. So yeah, Katie Taylor though won it, and fight of the year was Katie Taylor versus Chantel Cameron 2. You know, which I think you couldn't have picked a better women's fight to have to be your women's fight of the year. You know, so it was a banger. Honestly, both fights were great. You know, Taylor came up short in the first one and came back and won in the second one. So hats off to a great 2023 for boxing, and I hope we have an even better 2024. You know, with some we already got some early bangers coming up. Better be of Callum Smith on the 13th. You know, we see Usyk and Fury for undisputed at heavyweight coming up in February, and there's already some big fights on the horizons being made for, you know, March through June. So and I'll cover them all right here, baby, on the Fight Night Forecast. But yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, I'm glad. I had some people stick around for almost the whole episode, so that was awesome, man. I'm blessed. Thank you guys for all the comments. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are about to hit 800 subscribers probably today. Let's see. 2024 women. 2024 Fight of the Year prediction for women. Shields versus Jake Paul. Let's go. I love it. Let's see it. I think that could be a scrap. Man, honestly, you know, Jake Paul's looking better and better too, man. I really like the way Jake Paul's heading, you know. I think he's becoming less and less of a meme. Me and Sean had an argument about this in the comments. Not really an argument, more like a friendly debate. But in the comments of one of my shorts about Jake Paul, Sean's not as big of a fan as I am of Jake Paul. But that's okay, man. And that's why we live in America, bro. Where we, you know what I mean? We live in America. We can argue in the comment section of some short form content. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of it. And I don't have to hate Sean. You know, I don't have to hate Sean even though he's wrong. I don't have to hate Sean. We could still be friends. You know, and that's the beauty of the great country we live in. You know, so yeah, what do you say? Just playing, but she has been called. Yeah, she called Rolly out, bro. She called Rolly out. She said she told Rolly she was gonna clap him. So we'll see. I don't know. I think she honestly probably could. She probably could clap Rolly if she wanted to. So she definitely got more skill. Maybe not as much power, but yeah, I don't know. So, but then again, we're about to hit 800 subscribers, guys. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, please hit the like, please hit the comments, hit the subscribe button, tap the subscribe button respectfully. Don't smash it, just tap it respectively, you know? So thank you guys so much. We're about to hit 800. I'm hoping my goal is we hit 1,000. I want to hit 1,000 by February. And I think that might be not strict enough of a goal because I think we're going to hit it before that. So let's hit that 1,000 mark, man. I never in a million years when me and James started this out did we think it would even get to 500, you know. And now we're here. We're knocking on the door of 1,000 people, you know. So we're just gonna keep growing, bro. I just want to keep bringing y'all, you know, good boxing content, unbiased boxing content, and yeah, we'll see what 2024 holds for us. Hope you guys have a great and safe New Year's Eve for those of you guys that are watching and people that celebrate. And obviously it's already 2024 in Australia, I guess. But yeah, nonetheless, happy holidays, be safe, and I will see y'all in the next one. And I've been waiting for this. I'll see y'all next year. Thank you guys so much. Blessed holidays. We'll see you in the next year. All right. Peace.